Welcome, everyone, to this deep dive into one of the most pressing financial issues of our time. Today, we're unpacking the salary trap, why the system keeps you broke. This isn't just another rant about money woes. It's a comprehensive look at how the modern economic system is designed to keep the average worker in a perpetual state of financial anxiety. We'll explore the illusion of job security, the mechanics of the salary trap itself, wealth extraction methods, taxation disparities, the harsh realities of retirement, and finally, some alternative strategies to break free. I've prepared this as a detailed transcript based on extensive research and real-world examples. Buckle up because we're going long, over 10,000 words worth to really dissect this. If you're listening while commuting or working out, grab a notebook. There are actionable insights here. Let's start with the foundation, the illusion of job security. Picture this. It's the 1970s. Disco is king, bell-bottoms are in, and the American dream is alive and kicking. Back then, technology was just starting to rev up productivity. Factories were humming, offices were buzzing, and if you landed a good job, you could count on it lasting for decades. Fast forward to today, and productivity has skyrocketed by over 300% since those groovy days, according to data from the Economic Policy Institute. Corporate profits, they're at all-time highs, with companies like Apple and Amazon raking in billions quarterly. Yet here's the kicker. Despite all this wealth generation, a staggering number of people, over 60% of Americans per recent surveys from the Federal Reserve, are living paycheck to paycheck. They're one unexpected bill away from financial ruin. Why? Is it because we're all bad with money, lazy, overspending on lattes? No, my friends, it's not personal failings, it's systemic design. The system is built to keep you broke, and it starts with shattering the myth of job security. Once upon a time, job security was the holy grail. You joined a company like IBM or General Motors, worked your way up, and retired with a gold watch and a pension. But today, the average lifespan of a company in the S&P 500, the index of America's top corporations, has plummeted to less than 15 years. That's down from 60 years in the 1950s, as reported by Insight, a strategy consulting firm. Think about that. Companies come and go faster than fashion trends. Blockbuster, Kodak, Sears, these giants vanished almost overnight because of disruption from tech, globalization, and shifting markets. This erosion means your job isn't secure. Layoffs are routine, not rare. In 2023 alone, over 200,000 tech workers were pink-slipped, according to layoffs.fyi. And it's not just tech. Manufacturing, retail, finance, all sectors are hit. The gig economy has exploded, with platforms like Uber and DoorDash turning jobs into gigs without benefits or stability. Freelancers might love the flexibility, but they're often one algorithm tweak away from unemployment. Let me illustrate with a story. Meet Sarah, a 35-year-old marketing specialist. She graduated in 2010, right into the Great Recession. She clawed her way into a stable job at a mid-sized ad firm, thinking, finally, security. But in 2020, COVID hit, and her company pivoted to AI-driven ads, laying off half the staff, including her. Now she's juggling freelance gigs, barely covering rent in a city where costs have soared. Sarah's not alone. Millions face this. The paradox? While productivity booms thanks to AI, automation, and software, workers aren't reaping the rewards. Profits go to shareholders and execs. In 2022, S&P 500 companies bought back $922 billion in stock per S&P Dow Jones indices, enriching investors while workers scrape by. This isn't accidental, it's engineered. The system prioritizes capital over labor, keeping you dependent on that next paycheck.
But why does this illusion persist? Media and education push the narrative. Go to college, get a job, work hard, retire rich. Yet, student debt averages $37,000 per borrower, per the Education Data Initiative, chaining grads to jobs they hate just to pay bills. It's a trap disguised as opportunity. To break it down further, consider the psychological angle. Job security gives a false sense of control. You think, as long as I perform, I'm safe. But performance isn't the decider. Market forces are. During the 2008 financial crisis, even top performers at Lehman Brothers lost everything when the firm collapsed. Today, with AI like ChatGPT automating white-collar tasks, no job is immune. A McKinsey report estimates 45 million U.S. jobs could be automated by 2030. So, the illusion? It's a carrot on a stick, keeping you running on the treadmill. But, as we'll see next, the salary itself is the chain holding you back. All right, we've set the stage with the crumbling facade of job security. Now, let's dive into the heart of it, the salary trap. This is where the system really sinks its hooks in. Salaries aren't designed to make you wealthy. They're calibrated to keep you coming back. Employers use sophisticated data, think HR analytics and salary benchmarking tools like those from Glassdoor or PayScale, to figure out the bare minimum they can pay without you quitting. It's not about your value, it's about retention costs. Enter the anxiety zone. This is that sweet spot where your pay covers basics but leaves you stressed about the future. You earn just enough to fear losing it, but not enough to build a buffer. Rent, groceries, utilities, they eat 50 to 70% of income for many, per the Bureau of Labor Statistics. In high-cost areas like San Francisco, median rent is $3,000 for a one-bedroom, while median salary after taxes might be $5,000 monthly. Do the math. After essentials, what's left for savings? Peanuts. Traditional advice? Save 10 to 20% of your income. Sounds great, but if your disposable income is zero, it's impossible. Dave Ramsey or Suze Orman preach budgeting, but they ignore systemic inflation outpacing wages. Since 1979, wages for the bottom 90% grew just 24%, while costs rose 300%, per the Economic Policy Institute. Let me expand with examples. Take John, a software engineer in Seattle. He makes $120,000 annually. Sounds cushy, right? But after taxes, about 30%, he's at $84,000. Rent, $2,500 a month, $30,000 a year. Groceries, utilities, transport, another $15,000. Student loans, $10,000. Health insurance deductibles, $5,000. Suddenly, he's got $24,000 left, $2,000 a month for everything else, including emergencies. One car repair, and he's in debt. Employers know this. They offer perks like free snacks or gym memberships to mask low pay, but those don't build wealth. They keep you loyal. Amazon's warehouses are infamous for this. Competitive pay, but grueling conditions, with turnover high, yet retention through necessity. Historically, this trap evolved post-World War II. Unions were strong, wages rose with productivity, but Reagan-era policies weakened unions and globalization offshored jobs, suppressing wages. Today, only 10% of workers are unionized, per the BLS, down from 35% in the 1950s. Psychologically, the trap exploits loss aversion. We're more afraid of losing what we have than gaining more, so you stay in a mediocre job rather than risk change. Social proof reinforces it. Everyone's doing it, so it must be normal. But it's not just pay, it's the structure. Bonuses are tied to performance metrics that shift annually, keeping you chasing. Stock options? Often underwater or vested slowly, tying you down. To quantify, a Harvard study found that 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, including those earning $100,000. The trap scales with income. Lifestyle inflation creeps in, buying bigger homes or cars to match peers. Escaping requires mindset shift. See salary as a tool, not the goal. But before strategies, let's look at how wealth is extracted. Now we're getting to the gritty part. Wealth extraction mechanisms. This is how the system siphons your hard-earned value upward, leaving you with crumbs. First, stagnant wages versus rising costs. As you gain experience, your productivity increases, maybe 20–30% over a decade. But wages? They creep up 2 or 3% annually, if that, per BLS data. Inflation averages 2 to 3%, so real wage growth is flat or negative. Meanwhile, corporate profits soar. In 2023, U.S. corporations reported $2.8 trillion in profits, up 10% from prior years. Where does the extra go? To shareholders and execs. CEO pay has ballooned 1,460% since 1978, while worker pay rose 18%, according to the Economic Policy Institute. Take Walmart. Workers average $15 an hour, struggling on food stamps, while the Walton family is worth $250 billion. It's legal theft. Your labor creates value, but contracts ensure most goes elsewhere. Example, in tech, engineers at Google create algorithms worth billions, but base salaries top at $200K, with bonuses capped. The real wealth is in equity for founders and VCs. Second mechanism, debt dependency. Low wages force borrowing for education, homes, emergencies. Credit card debt hits $1 trillion in 2023, per the Fed. Interest rates, 20% plus, extracting more wealth to banks. Third, gig economy extraction. Platforms take 20 to 30% cuts. Uber drivers earn $15 an hour after expenses, but Uber's valuation is $140 billion. Fourth, outsourcing and automation. Companies cut costs by offshoring to low-wage countries or automating. Jobs lost, 2.7 million to China alone since 2001 per EPI. Profits up, wages down. Let's dive deeper into historical context. Post-1970s, neoliberal policies, deregulation, tax cuts for rich, shifted power. The Powell Memo of 1971 urged businesses to fight back against regulations, leading to think tanks like Heritage Foundation pushing pro-corporate agendas. In practice, this means suppressed minimum wages. Federal minimum is $7.25 since 2009, worth 40% less in real terms. States like California raised to $16, but costs there are higher, so net zero. Another angle, monopsony power. In many towns, one employer dominates, dictating wages. Amazon in warehouses, hospitals and healthcare, workers have little bargaining power. Personal story. My friend Mike worked in manufacturing for 20 years. His plant automated, laying off 50%. He retrained for IT, but entry pay was lower than his old job. Experience didn't translate to dollars. Extraction via benefits cuts, too. Health insurance premiums rose 200% since 2000 per Kaiser Family Foundation, while wages rose 60%. Employers shift costs to you. Globally, this is worse in developing nations, but in the U.S., it's subtle. Tax codes favor capital gains, 15 to 20%, over wages, up to 37%. But taxation is its own beast. Let's transition there. 3. Taxation disparities. Taxation, the great equalizer? Hardly. It's another layer of the trap, hitting salaried workers hardest. Employees pay taxes up front via withholding. Your paycheck? Already skimmed. This pay-as-you-earn system, introduced in 1943, makes taxation invisible. You don't feel the full sting, so governments can raise rates without revolt. Contrast with the wealthy. They earn from assets, stocks, real estate, businesses. Taxes? Deferred until sale at lower capital gains rates. Warren Buffett famously pays a lower effective rate than his secretary, 17% versus 30% per his own admission. Stats. The top 1% hold 32% of wealth but pay 24% of taxes, per IRS data. Bottom 50% hold 3% wealth but pay proportionally more via payroll taxes. Payroll taxes, Social Security, Medicare, cap at $168,600 income in 2024. Earn more, no more tax. So billionaires pay the same Social Security as someone earning $168K. Deductions favor asset owners, mortgage interest, investment losses. Salaried folks get standard deduction, $13,850, but real perks are for investors. Offshore havens. Panama Papers revealed trillions hidden. Workers can't do that. Our income is reported via W-2s. Example, Jeff Bezos paid $0 federal tax in 2007 and 2011 per ProPublica, despite wealth growth. How? Losses offsetting gains, stock not taxed until sold. For workers, even bonuses are taxed at higher rates initially, and sales taxes hit low income harder, regressive by nature. Historically, top marginal rates were 90% in the 1950s, funding infrastructure. Now, 37%, with loopholes. State taxes vary. No-income tax states like Texas burden via property or sales taxes, hitting middle class. The disparity perpetuates inequality. Wealthy lobby for cuts. 2017 TCJA saved billionaires $1 trillion over decade, per CBO. For you, audit risk higher for low income via EITC claims, per IRS stats. It's designed. Keep workers paying, wealthy accumulating. Now on to retirement, where the trap seals your fate.
4. Retirement realities. Retirement, the golden years? More like fool's gold for many. Gone are defined benefit pensions, where companies guaranteed payouts. In 1980, 46% of private workers had them. Now, 15%, per BLS. Enter 401ks, shifted in 1978. Marketed as empowerment, but it's risk transfer. You invest, bear market bounds. 2008 crash wiped 50% of savings for many. Average 401k balance? $112,000 for 50 to 59-year-olds, per Vanguard. To retire comfortably, need $1 to $2 million. Math doesn't add up. Employer matches? Often 3 to 6%, but vesting schedules tie you down, and fees erode gains. 1% annual fee halves savings over 35 years, per DOL. Social Security? Solvent until 2034. Then 77% benefits per trustees. Average payout, $1,800 per month, barely covering basics. Women, minorities hit harder. Lower wages mean lower savings. Life expectancy rises means longer retirement, more costs. Example, Linda, teacher for 30 years. Pension cut in reforms. 401k tanked in 2022 bear market. Now 65 working part-time. Boomers retiring broke. 45% have no savings per AARP. Millennials? Worse, with debt and gig work. The system profits. Investment firms like Fidelity manage trillions in 401ks, charging fees. It's a trap. Work longer, die poorer. But there's hope. Alternatives. 5. Alternative financial strategies. Time to flip the script, escaping the trap. First, mindset. Salary is starter fuel, not the engine. Aim for ownership. Invest in assets, stocks, real estate, businesses. Start small, index funds via Vanguard, 7% average return. Multiple streams, side hustles, rentals, dividends. Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad preaches this. Tax smarts. Max IRAs, HSAs, entrepreneurs deduct expenses. Build skills, learn investing, entrepreneurship. Books like The Millionaire Next Door show most millionaires are self-made, not high salary. Network, join communities, find mentors. Example, Tom quit corporate and started e-commerce. Now multiple six figures, tax advantaged. Risks? Yes, but staying trapped is riskier. Scale. Automate savings, live below means. Ultimately, question conventional wisdom. Wealth is created, not earned via salary. You know what to do. Subscribe.